Hello, everybody. Welcome into another show. I've got a good one for you guys today. We're going to be discussing some of the top players at every position. Um, and really, we're looking at the PFF grades, and then we're going to talk about who we think are the best players. I know there's some people who, almost religiously follow what PFF believes is as the gospel. I like referencing some of the stuff that they do because I think it is, a lot of relevant information that they calculate in whatever algorithm they made. There are also times I look at it and go, look, I don't know what you guys are smoking, but this is not the best player. The eye test tells you that. So I think it'd be interesting to see how we compare. And I'm sure Mike and I will agree on some and not on some others. So could have some interesting debates coming up for you guys. So first off, Mike, how you doing? We're 2 weeks into the preseason. Are you getting excited for football yet?
Yeah, man, I am so good. Another week down, another week closer to the NFL regular season starting. Where I'm hoping that the Eagles are going to go on a little bit of a revenge tour, but don't want to count my chickens before they hatch. But all I'm going to say is I'm very, very excited for the season, man.
Getting pumped. I'm starting to see people talking and socials are buzzing and being a Broncos fan, it's been great because obviously the catastrophe that was last year and then Sean Payton, and so you got this expectation brewing. Not as much as there was going into last season, but there's still one there, and so it's so great. Like the preseason, why I like it because it means football's back. But like these games mean absolutely nothing. Like they mean nothing. And the ends of these games, we're watching guys that are probably going to be bagging groceries for me, in 2 weeks. So, so watching people just like freak out over like the last 2 minutes of a game when I'm like, these are like seventh string guys that probably won't even make the practice squad. And you're looking at the end of the result like it's what's going to happen for the entire year. Like that means something. So it's just funny to me. So I'm excited, definitely ready for these to go. So I get some updated PFF grades. We're just going to run through the offense today. We're going to see how we land for everything. So as always, we're going to start off with the most important position. We're going to start off with quarterback. Just for the fun for quarterback, Mike, do you have any guesses who the number one ranked PFF quarterback is?
I mean, I can tell you who it should be. If it is not Patrick Mahomes, it is incorrect.
So, fun fact: this is the only position that I looked at where it was actually tied in
Okay.
PFF screening between two players with the exact same score. I didn't write down the scores because I don't really care what they pick the score as, just where they put them. But it is they actually listed Joe Burrow's name first and
Hmm.
then Patrick Mahomes' name. But it was Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, and then they were both ranked exactly the same for the number one tied spot. How do you feel about Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow tied at number one?
Yeah, for me, Mahomes is definitely the best. And then for me, Burrow is the clear second best. I know that there's some people out there that are weird. Josh Allen's number two in the league. I don't know entirely where that's coming from. I think some of that's from, 2, 3 years ago. But yeah, for me, it's clearly Mahomes. I mean, two-time Super Bowl champion, two-time Super Bowl MVP, two-time regular MVP. He's been first team All Pro a couple times, along with a second team All Pro. I don't think he's not been a Pro Bowler since he's joined the league, led the league in touchdown passes, led league in passing yards, right? Like, I mean, anything and everything that you can accomplish in your first 5 years as a starter, Mahomes has done. And so, yeah, for me, he's clearly the best quarterback in the league, followed up by Joe Cool.
He's just really, really good. I
Yeah,
mean, look, Josh Allen was there 2, 3,
yeah,
however they wrote it down. But like to me, where I don't necessarily agree, like I think Burrow is. I mean, he's easily probably number two. He's easily in one of the top in the league. But for me, when I look at it, aside from the accolades and what he's accomplished, which there's no one in the league today playing that can stack up to the resume for what Patrick Mahomes has accomplished, his winning records and his yards and his stats. I mean, like he's far and above. But for me too, it's just an eye test. Like you watch him play, he is just better than everyone else. He's the definition to me of unicorn. Like he is that one player that no one will ever be like again. And we're witnessing just greatness. He can do all kinds of things that other people just can't do. And where I think Joe Burrow is phenomenal, there are things on an athletic level that he just cannot do
yep.
that Patrick Mahomes can do, right? Like you don't see Patrick Mahomes running around, but he can, right? He might not be as fast as Lamar, but if you don't think he's shifty and can get around, he can, right? He can make throws that Joe Burrow's just not going to be making. I mean, there are just things that Patrick Mahomes can do that Joe
Yep.
Burrow can't do. And I don't think there's any question that Patrick Mahomes should be the number one. We agree there. I think we're going to spend too much time on it. But yeah, I mean, he's the best player in the league. It's
Yep.
not close.
Nope.
offense, defense, whatever, he's been the best player for a long time. I realize Brady just left the game, but I mean, he's been the best player in the league for quite a while now, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. Running back.
Yep.
I'm just going to list it out. So running back, here's how they have it ranked this year. So number 1, they have Josh Jacobs.
Okay.
Number 2, they have Christian McCaffrey. Number 3, they have Nick Chubb. Now, again, we're just talking who we got as our 1.
Yep.
Definitely some names that I might put that aren't on there. But when I look at it, to me, my number 1 has to be Christian McCaffrey. And I realize he's the 2 on here, but I looked at a couple of different things, right? And to me, Christian McCaffrey is the 1 just because he does everything. He can run, he can catch, he can play pass block. He's phenomenal out of the backfield. I've watched him throw touchdown passes. I mean, the guy can do everything really, really well. Do I think he's the best pure runner in the league? No. He's probably not the 1, the 2, the 3. I mean, I could list several guys I know are better pure runners, right? Like Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb for sure are the best pure runners in the league, right? But I don't know if you've seen Nick Chubb try and catch a football.
Stone hands.
It's fairly comical, right? So where he's a great runner, Christian McCaffrey just has so many more things that, to me, that's what elevates him to that next level.
Yeah, I don't hate your answer. I think it's a really good answer. For me, my only question mark with McCaffrey over the last couple of years, as you know, in fantasy football, as somebody that took him in Dynasty a couple of years ago, has been his injury concern. The guy's really struggled to stay healthy the last several years. Now, last year he was healthy. He was very, very good last year. So for me, the injuries have to knock him down probably 1 or 2 pegs. He's probably either my 2 or my 3. For me, I'm actually going to go somebody that's not even on this list. It was somebody that you did mention, though. I'm going with Derrick Henry as my number 1. For me, the man is just, I mean, there's people that the expression nowadays is he's built different. Derrick Henry is built different. I mean, I don't know if we've ever seen a running back this big. He's built like a linebacker. He's like 6'4", like 240 or something like that. I mean, the man is just huge. He ran for 2,000 rushing yards a couple of years ago. He followed that up by having almost 1,000 yards rushing in half the season before he broke his leg. And then last year came back and was second in the league in rushing. Since 2020, he has 4,500 rushing yards, which is 600 more than the next 2 guys, which is Dalvin Cook and Nick Chubb. And then he has 40 rushing touchdowns, which is 7 more than Josh Jacobs and Jonathan Taylor. I mean, the dude is just a total freak. He's a total monster. I understand that he's getting a little bit older, but like I said, I actually think this guy is built differently. I'm not super concerned about him hitting that 28, 29 age mark. When he hits like that 31, 32, then he'll probably slow down a lot more. But yeah, for me, it's got to be Derrick Henry.
Yeah, and I can see it. I mean, he is, when we talk about best pure runners, like he is the best pure runner, right? And, the worries as running backs get older is because they take so much damage and abuse, right?
Yeah.
It's because when you're 100, when you're 215 pounds, you're getting hit by a 260-pound linebacker, and that happens to you 10 times a game. Like the body just can't take it, and it only can take so many. I mean, some of these top running backs are getting 300 plus touches of the football a year. I mean, that's a lot of abuse on the body, right?
Yep.
The difference with Derrick Henry is, one, a lot of people forget, like, he's older, but like he also didn't play for his first 2 years because he sat behind DeMarco Murray. So he has 2 less years of wear on his body. There was really recovery time from college. But then when a linebacker hits Derrick Henry, they bounce off Derrick Henry because he's
hitting
bigger than they are, so he doesn't take the same abuse that other people do because he's just bigger and stronger and faster than everybody else. I mean, he's just a monster. So I don't disagree with it. I don't think we need to debate it too much. I mean, I get the points. I like Derrick Henry a lot too. So they're both great. I like Josh Jacobs, but I don't think he's the one. So we can agree that PFF is wrong. Tight end, Travis Kelce. He's the one. They got George Kittle, Mark Andrews. Where are you at with Kelce number 1?
Yeah, I agree with the first 2 in order. I think Kelsey is clearly the 1, and I think Kittle's clearly the 2. think the three that you probably have a couple of different options, but sticking with Kelsey there, I mean, for me, he's arguably the second best tight end of all time. The man's had 7 straight years of 1,000 yards receiving. He also has the most yards receiving by a tight end in 2 out of the last 3 years. He's had like 3,900 yards since 2020. I think Andrews and Kittle are both next somewhere. They have less than 3,000. I mean, he regularly finishes as a top 5 receiver as a tight end. And the Chiefs are actually, so fun fact, since the year 2020, the Chiefs have the most yards receiving by their receiving core, and Kelsey leads that. So, I mean, when your tight end is better than almost every single wide receiver in the league, he's clearly in a class of his own. For me, it's clearly Jason Kelsey. Travis Kelsey is clearly the best tight end.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to argue it. I'm fine with him being there. At least until I see him slow down a peg. I mean, he is getting older, but I mean, I think until I see that half step back, I'm not going to put anybody above him, so that's fine. We're not obviously we're focused on the number one, so we're not going to spend a ton of time on the rest of them. But I thought it was interesting you put Kittle too, when his biggest issue is the dude never stays healthy.
Yep.
But then your knock on McCaffrey was he couldn't stay healthy. So, but I guess you didn't have McCaffrey one, you didn't have Kittle one, so maybe I can't say too much into
consistency.
Now, my only caveat for somebody who could challenge Kelsey as Kelsey ages out is a Mark Andrews, who is the clear one on his team as well, which is the same as Kelsey. And his last healthy season, he was right behind, Kelsey. And then last year, obviously, he's hurt and Lamar is hurt, and that changes a lot. So we'll see, I think, how this year goes. But I think with those two guys, the biggest differentiator is, are you a receiving tight end, or are you a do-it-all tight end, or are you a blocking tight end? Because tight end, I think, is a little bit more rounded. And it's funny because I picked McCaffrey because he's a do-it-all player versus like you look at a Kelsey or an Andrews, who are my top guys. They are not your blocking types, where Kittle is, which maybe that's why he's taking more damage. Like if I'm just looking at all in all, Kittle on a yards per game basis is right next to Kelsey. The difference is he's always freaking hurt. And for me, until he makes a full season, like he's never played a full season, I just can't give it to him. But it's funny when you look at like their blocking. I'm going to give you this test. I know it's not test Mike's brain. How many times do you think Mark Andrews, how many snaps last year did Mark Andrews pass block?
My guess is he probably only pass blocked whatever 30% of their number is. So if they threw the ball, we'll call it 500 times. So I don't know, somewhere in that like 150-ish range.
Less.
Okay. Are we looking at like less than 100?
Less.
Oh, 50?
Less.
Wow, I have no idea what is it?
Answer is one snappy pass block last year.
What?
Yes. One time. It got a few more on the run blocking, but one pass block for Mark Andrews last year. Now, it sounds crazy. Like Travis Kelsey had 28, and I think Kittle had like 45. So I mean, they're obviously running a lot more routes than they are staying in for those passing situations. But yeah, one time he was asked to pass block. I just thought that was a funny number, so I'd bring it.
That is a funny number.
All right, so Kelsey's it. I think we both agree. So we'll move on to wide receiver. And for those of you guys listening, this receiver was really the entire reason I wanted to do this show today, to have some of these discussions. And we will probably spend the majority of our time on the wide receiver position. And I do that because when I looked at who PFF has, it is not who neither Mike nor I have. We both know who each other are going to pick, even though we didn't prep each other on who we were going to pick ahead of time. And I think he's wrong, and he thinks I'm wrong.
Well, I know you're wrong, but that's okay.
We literally had a discussion going into it. He goes, "You just wanted to have this so that you could tell everyone you were wrong," and I said something like that. But I am right. But this wide receiver position is the reason why. Here's how it breaks down. Number one wide receiver, PFF grade.
Is it AJ Brown?
It is not.
Ooh, okay. I thought he was weirdly high or something like that.
He's not in the top. He's not in the top 3.
Okay.
In fact, in Mike's today, his guy is on the top 3. Third.
Okay. Is it Jamar Chase?
No, not even in the top 3. My guy didn't make the list. Now, it could have been because of his injuries last year, but here we go. Tyreek Hill.
Okay.
Number 1. He's good.
Yeah, he's great. He's great.
Number 2 is Amon-Ra St. Brown by PFF grading.
That's interesting.
And number 3 was Justin Jefferson.
Oh, the best receiver in the league. Oh, okay,
That's
okay.
Mike's guy. So I don't agree that Justin Jefferson is the best receiver in the game. I don't think Tyreek Hill is the best receiver in the game. I don't think Amon-Ra is the best receiver in the game. I don't think any of these guys. I don't think Jamar Chase is the best receiver in the game. I get it, young talent, and we all want to get excited about all these young guys coming in. But look, the only answer for the best wide receiver in the game is Cooper Kupp. He is the best receiver in the game. I get it. He's my guy. But he's the best receiver in the game. And it shouldn't be debatable. He's the best.
No, it very well should be. For me, he's clearly the second best receiver in the game, but it's pretty clear. For me, it's like Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow. Both super talented. They're both fantastic in their own right. Clearly, Justin Jefferson is better than Cooper Kupp.
So when we were discussing Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, the difference between Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes, the reason we said Patrick Mahomes is clearly the best was what?
I mean, he's just more accomplished since he's come into the NFL.
He's more accomplished, and he does things that Joe Burrow can't do, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Cooper Kupp blocks. Does Justin Jefferson block?
I don't know. Probably not. I have no idea. Probably not.
He doesn't. So he can't be the best because he doesn't do something that's integral to football. Blocking. He won't do it.
That's your argument, is that he blocks better and so therefore he's a better wide receiver? Come on.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the start of it. How about this? Your boy Justin Jefferson, he's a killer. He's so good, right? And last year you say hands down best receiver in the game, right? So that would mean he clearly won the Triple Crown, right?
Yeah, a couple years ago, Cooper Kupp was the best receiver. I'd say a couple years ago, Cooper Kupp had the best single receiving season we've ever seen in the history of football, hands down, 100%. Yep.
So to answer that, Justin Jefferson does not have a Triple Crown.
Correct.
Okay,
sure.
Cooper Kupp's the best.
So how many years has Cooper Kupp had less than 1,400 yards receiving since he's joined the league?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Justin Jefferson's never had less than 1,400 yards. Let's see. Has Justin Jefferson ever finished below 5th in the league in receiving yards since he's joined the league? Oh, no, he has not. He's finished 4th, 2nd, and 1st. Let's see. Who has the most receiving yards in the last, we'll call it 3 years, since the year 2020? Oh, it is Justin Jefferson, 4,800 yards. Devontae Adams is next with 4,400, and Tyreek Hill is next with 4,200. So your boy is not even top 3 over the last 3 years in receiving yards over the last 3 seasons. And that includes his Triple Crown, which, again, single greatest season I have ever seen. Clearly is why he's the number 2, is because of that season a couple seasons ago.
Sure, because he didn't play last year because he was hurt.
What's the best ability?
Best ability is availability.
All right.
But here's the thing. He could have come back last year, and they held him because that team was that beat up and that bad. They just said, hey, we're just going to let it ride. All right.
Do you think he's still going to finish anywhere near the top?
If he played every game, absolutely.
He wasn't going to play every game. He got hurt. He was going to miss whatever that was, 5 games last year or whatever that was.
Sure. Does he finish near the top? Yeah, he's still one of the best. On a yards per game basis, absolutely. I don't know if you've ever heard Cooper Kupp break down football, but the dude analyzes from the wide receiver position like a quarterback analyzes from behind the line.
I know the clip you're referring to. Come on now. You're telling me that Justin Jefferson couldn't do it's a viral clip. Come on. You're telling me that Justin Jefferson doesn't understand the routes and what the DBs are doing and what he needs to do, and therefore based off of their coverage, he needs to run the route a certain way. I mean, come on. You don't get 1,800 yards last year off of just being a decent route runner and just kind of understanding what's going on.
It's not just that he kind of understood what was going on. It was like I don't think Justin Jefferson is a bad player.
Oh no.
But even last year going through the season until Cooper Kupp got hurt, he was doing better than Jefferson was.
I don't know about that.
He had more yards and or / touchdowns through that time period.
That was
probably on a fantasy basis.
Some of that
fantasy points per game. He was number 1 over Jefferson that time period, which means he had more yards, receptions, and touchdowns in that time period than Jefferson did.
And
Jefferson was on pace. Oh, he's going to break the
uh,
2,000. Didn't, because he vanished for like
sure.
2 games where he just, I think he caught like
Yeah.
one pass for 10 yards.
Yep.
Gone, right? But it's
Yep.
not like Tyreek Hill wasn't right behind him until Tua got hurt. And the fact that Tyreek
Yep.
could have finished with more yards without him before Tua got hurt, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm just saying.
And so, but here's the thing: is even on that yards per game basis, again, it was probably the Darius Slay Eagles game where Kirk Cousins, who is his quarterback, who is notorious for shutting down on primetime games, Darius Slay picked them off like 2 times, and like Kirk Cousins melted down in that game against the Eagles in week 2. That was probably the big reason why there was such a gap, if you know, for in terms of fantasy points, which again, I don't even think that this is a fantasy conversation, so I'm not going to go down that entire rabbit hole. But a lot of the success of wide receivers is supposed to be predicated on the quarterbacks. And who's a better quarterback? Matt Stafford all time or Kirk Cousins all time? I mean, Kirk Cousins is notorious for being just an average quarterback. Meanwhile, you guys, I know some people that are ready to put Matt Stafford in the Hall of Fame. I'm not one of those guys, but there's at least a conversation to be had on whether you're going to put Matt Stafford in the Hall of Fame or if you're going to put Kirk Cousins in the Hall of Fame. No one ever is going to have that conversation about Kirk Cousins going into the Hall of Fame. It's just not happening.
To me, they're the same guy.
So are you ready to have a conversation about putting Kirk Cousins in the Hall of Fame?
I don't think either one of them should go in the Hall of Fame, but I don't think Eli Manning should go in the Hall of Fame. I don't think Philip Rivers should go in the Hall of Fame. Look, somebody will probably put these guys in because
you had that conversation.
It's a joke.
And Dan had a conversation several weeks ago where you were ready to put Matt Stafford in that borderline Hall of Fame.
The only reason I would put him on that borderline is because the dude threw for like 4,000 yards every single year, like it was clockwork, and other people weren't while he played for the Lions.
So did Kirk when he was with Washington.
No, I get it. Look, I'm saying Kirk's probably right on that line too.
Oh, all right,
let me ask you. So,
oh my God,
if you're a, we're not having a Hall of Fame debate. If you are a great wide receiver, do you demand a high target share percentage?
I would assume so. Yeah.
Okay. So wouldn't you agree that the wide receiver that generates the highest target share percentage is the best wide receiver?
No, not necessarily, because there's cases where the help around you could be just awful, right? Like if I don't have anybody around me, therefore I'm getting more target. So you need context behind it. So
and that's a double-edged sword if you think about it, though, because
100%.
If you're the only one on the team who's any good,
yes, you're going to get double covered, triple covered. Yes,
then you're going to get double, triple, quadruple covered. Where you might get if you're the number one, you might get the number one corner, right? But you're not going to see the same type of coverage if you have more people, right? So when you have multiple wide receivers that actually perform to a somewhat of a respectable level last year for the Vikings.
Come on now. You're saying Adam Thielen, who averaged like 9.9 yards a catch or something? Like 10.2
he definitely took a massive step back, but he also was number 2 in the league in targets last year.
Who?
Adam Thielen.
Was number 2 in the league in targets?
In targets last year.
Oh my God. See, that shows you how, okay.
So agreed. So he's not going to get and I get it. When I asked that question, you knew the Cooper Kupp had a higher target share percentage.
No,
it's still stupid, right? So like Jefferson has like a 28.7% target share, which is like ludicrous, right? Cooper Kupp has a 31% target share, right? Which is also stupid, right? Because there's no one else on that. And I get it. It's like Higbee and a bunch of nobodies on that team, right? So he's obviously going to draw a bigger coverage. But the fact that he does that and still puts up the yardage and the stuff that he does, knowing that he's the only one on the field, should prove to you that he can get open even when other teams know he is the only player on the field that's worth anything. Where Justin Jefferson has Adam Thielen, right? Now, I get he slowed down, but he's still good. You got KJ Osborne. He's not great. He's going to be good. Dude, the dude had like 800 yards last year.
No, he did not.
How many did he have?
I don't know. Not nearly that many. You keep talking. I'll look it up for you.
Okay, you look it up for me. I'm just saying, there are people on that team that were good enough. Hawkinson, right? When they acquired him halfway through the year, right? So there are weapons on that team that the Rams just don't have, and yet still pulling number one coverage, he's still out there getting done at the highest level every single time. That was probably like 600.
650.
Yeah, see, I exaggerated a little bit. How many touchdowns do
Oh,
you have?
I already closed that. Probably 6, something like that. Um, okay, so if you want to talk about getting it done at the highest level, you realize that Justin Jefferson is on track to have the greatest career ever by a wide
I
receiver.
I get it. And you know what? When
He's
Cooper Cup
also he's also
retires, I'll crown him as the best.
he's also tied for the second youngest player since the Super Bowl era to lead the league in receiving yards at the age of 23. Only Josh Gordon was younger at 22, and he did that with 200 less yards. So I, he's, I mean, I don't know what to tell you, man. Like he leads the league almost. He's top 5 every year since he's joined the. He's fourth or higher every single year since he's joined the league with a league average quarterback and Kirk Cousins as his quarterback.
Look,
I,
man, he's good. He's good. And he plays with a pocket passing quarterback,
what's Matt Stafford?
a pocket passing
Okay,
quarterback.
okay.
I'm just saying, like, look, he's good. I get it. I'm not saying he's not. And
Eh,
he has the greatest catch I've probably ever seen.
sure,
All right. Doesn't have a Super Bowl ring. Doesn't have
sure,
a Super Bowl MVP. Doesn't
sure,
have a triple crown.
sure.
And minus injury, Cooper Cup was doing the same thing he was doing the year that he did all those things.
Injury's a big thing.
Honestly, this is a debate between you and me that we're going to have probably forever. Like,
Yeah,
one guy gets hurt and you're like, throw them away. They're trash now. Like,
making
you
him
know how many people have
saying
come
he's the
back from
second,
injuries and been great?
saying he's the second best is calling him trash.
He's clearly was the best. He was the best. He was still
Yeah,
performing like the best, got hurt, and is now back. So,
yeah, and he's hurt again this year. He's hurt again. Season hasn't even started and he's already hurt again.
he's just strange. All right, he'll be fine.
He's hurt again. He's their only weapon, which could mean that, hey, if he gets another 31% of the target shares, he's going to keep getting popped, which means he could continue to get hurt again after that. We've never seen this with Justin Jefferson. He's never missed a game. He's never had injury concerns. All he does is show up and perform. He had 2 off games last season, but I'd rather still have him have 2 off games rather than miss 9 games or whatever. Like he's
He missed 9 games, but he didn't miss 9 games. All right, so let's not exaggerate it. And it's not like Cooper Cup is getting hurt. It's not like he's getting hurt every year. Like, there are guys who get hurt every year, right? Like, you're like, hey, look, like Dalvin Cook, the dude is gonna miss 2 and 3 games every year. You knew that, right? Kittle is gonna miss games we know that. Cooper Cup didn't miss games, right? He got one injury. All right,
Nope.
could have come back, didn't, and now he's back.
Nope, it has not been one injury, and I'm going to look it up.
Yeah, okay. How many seasons is he just missing tons and tons of times?
Let's see. So his first year he missed a game. His second year he missed 8 games. 2020 he missed a game, and then this year, the last year he missed 8 games. So yes, he misses games on a pretty regular basis.
A game is nothing.
Okay, he missed 8 games in 2018, and he missed 8 games last year. That's 16 games in a 1, 2, 3, 4 in a 5-year span. That's 40% of your games in 5 years. That's not great.
40% of your games in 5 years. What math are you on?
Or I guess what is that? 20%. 20% of your games in 5 years. It's not great.
What math you're trying to work off of, bud?
No, 20% is.
Let's see. When did we go to 17 games?
Last year.
Last year. So 16, 16, 16, 16, 17. Right? 16, 16, 16. It's 81 games. Yeah. Oh, look at this, right around 20%, just a little less.
Okay, so yeah, missing 20% of your games is a pretty significant amount of time.
So you said that was 2018. So in the time that he's been in the league, he missed one chunk of games. And we're giving him the 8 from last season, where we both agree that he wasn't going to be out for 8 games.
Yeah.
If that team was good and Stafford wasn't hurt, he's out 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
Yeah, whatever.
Right. So in injury prone, he missed one. Like, was that his rookie year? He missed 8 games.
No, his second year he missed 8 games.
His
first year he missed 1 game.
Right. And he was like a fourth round draft pick, right? And then since then he's been healthy until last year when he got hurt. All right.
Yeah, that sounds like a concern.
How is that a concern?
because again, he's still missing. If you want to scratch away some of those games, you're still looking at about 15% of his games being hurt for. That's too many, man. Like I don't need my guys missing, substantial amounts of times here and there. It's just that's not what I want.
Can't assume injury if it's not a thing that happens consistently. All right.
It is. He's missing 20% of his games.
Twice in 5 years, he had a decently significant injury. He does not count.
5 is a pretty big number.
The likelihood that Jefferson has an injury in 5 year span is pretty good.
Okay, but he hasn't yet, so therefore,
he's played 3 years. It's not even the same numbers.
Jefferson Kupp missed 8 games in his second year.
Right. You can't predict injury. And you're out here predicting an injury is the reason you're knocking people.
He's
saying
hurt again.
When everybody strains their groin or their calf or stubs their toe in the preseason. Everybody.
No, they don't.
They do too.
No, they don't. Jonathan Taylor, until last year, has never missed a practice going back to high school. It doesn't happen to everybody.
And now he's missing all kinds of time because he's back spasming and contracting
That's a whole nother thing.
And whatever other issues he's having. So look, I get it, but I'm just saying you can't sit here and dock a guy for an injury if it's not I get you. Oh, he missed 20%. It's not like he's getting hurt every single year, right? Him missing a game is the same thing as Justin Jefferson vanishing for an entire game and having 1 reception for 10. It's the same impact on the game.
No, nothing. Because then you're still pulling away double coverage and still drawing things here and there. So no, it's not the same.
You did nothing.
No. Who do you think's getting more double coverage? The guy that's on the bench or the guy that leads the league in receiving yards?
I gotta look this up. I'm gonna let you know the last time that he had 1 catch.
It was probably the week.
It's nice. The week that he got hurt, he still had 3 catches. Okay.
Sure. Okay.
He doesn't. Say you're out here picking JJ.
Yeah.
Because he's your boy.
Yeah. Why are you picking Cooper Kupp?
Because he won the Triple Crown. He's the best receiver.
He's your boy. Because he's your boy.
He is my boy. But he also is the best receiver in football with a Triple Crown.
Yeah.
Now look, if Jefferson had gone out last year and broke 2,000, like maybe I'd be more willing to give it to him. But look, he's been a really good for the couple of years he's been in the league, and he has a great catch. Right?
He has the most prolific receiving numbers in the NFL that we've ever seen to a first 3-year start.
But the league is different, so it's a different thing.
Cooper Kupp was in the exact same league.
No, the league has changed in the last few years.
Cooper Kupp's only been in the league 5 years or whatever.
He's in the league long enough. He's 31 next year.
8 years. 5 years, 6 years. It has not been that long.
He's also a 4th-string pick, so he didn't get the demand target share that a first-round draft pick's going to get. Look, man, I think this year
he's been in the league 6 years. He got in the league 3 years before Cooper Kupp did. Before Justin Jefferson did. Stop it.
I think this year should be really telling, right? At the end of this year, when we look back on this, I'm either going to be like, look, I told you he was the best, or Jefferson's numbers are going to take a significant hit because while he is still the best player on the team, he's now also competing with another top 12 draft pick. Actually, he wasn't top 12. They were drafted around the 23rd.
First round draft pick still.
23rd first round draft pick. I think he was number 25, right?
Something like that. Yeah.
They're picked like right around the same spot, which I thought was interesting. But now he's splitting between a first round tight end, a first round running back, and then 2 first round. So the target share could be split up a lot more. And all of a sudden, we're going to see, hey, is he really that same dude who's demanding that same level of target share, or is his numbers fall off a cliff? And look, I get it, fall off. If he puts up 1,400 yards again, like 4 straight years of 1,400 yards, but that's not pushing for 2,000.
It'd still be the best start to a career we've ever seen.
That's great. See where he ends up. Cooper Kupp with a healthy team is still going to be the number 1 on that team for sure. He's still got no one challenging him for targets, and he's still going to dominate everyone who tries to stop him.
And Justin Jefferson's still better.
Look, we're going to look back on this later and see. The worst part is I'm going to have to decide between which one of these guys I want to draft in fantasy.
There you go.
All right. Let's move on from wide receiver because otherwise we're just going to keep running back in circles because I'm not going to concede and you're not going to concede. Offensive line.
Yep.
I looked at this. We're going to look at the offensive line as a whole. PFF will give us grades as a whole unit, and then they'll give us grades tackle, center, guard, right? I don't think we're going to look at it as a whole line. how they function together. I mean, look, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you have the best player at one position. If the rest of your line is crap, then it doesn't really matter how good you are. So we're gonna look at them as a whole. I think we also wouldn't have a lot of debate when it looks at the top guys. I didn't look at who they had, but I did look at center. Right, they had Creed Humphrey 1, Jason Kelsey 2, and I
Not
think
really
those are the 1 and
surprising.
2, so that's fine, right? One guy's a little bit younger, so I'm not gonna, I don't think any of us are gonna lose sleep. So let's look at overall number one offensive line in football currently. It is the Eagles. All right. Number two is the Cleveland Browns,
That's not surprising. Yeah.
and number three is the Chiefs.
Yep. Not surprising either. Yep.
So yeah, they're all very high. I mean, I guess when you look at a PFF grade, they look at everything, right? Their ability to pass block and their ability to run block and all of it. Where I'm looking at some of these, and I looked at some of the teams, and I'm like, how is this team this low, right? And I've also looked at other teams, and I'm like, how is this team this high, right? Some of it with PFF is an assumption based on the player grades they give each of those guys, right? I'll give you an example. They have Denver. Last year's the 20th best offensive line in football.
Hmm.
This year, we're currently ranked 11th with the
Okay.
additions to the line. Not that I'm angry about that, but at the end of the day, they've never played together. And until I see them play well together, I don't know if I can put them at the number 11 spot. But there were some surprises. Atlanta, I was a little shocked were as low as they were.
Yeah.
Um,
I
but
think Atlanta's issue is probably that they're a great running unit, but they're not a great pass blocking unit.
And when I looked at it, I think that was part of it, right? They really don't pass that much. And when they do pass, they don't have anyone who actually plays quarterback. But as the most run heavy team, I mean, they had guys rushing for 1,100 yards that probably won't see very many snaps this year. So
Yep.
that's a side note. Next year, we could be talking as Bijan is the number one because he's another guy that I think can do everything on the field. And he might be in
Yep.
that same kind of
True.
conversation as elite running levels.
McCaffrey. Yeah.
As a Derrick Henry, maybe not as prolific as Derrick Henry, but like you want
Yeah.
to put him in that Nick Chubb type of conversation as far as a pure runner. Like I do think he's that good, and the dude can catch. So I think Bijan very well could be up there, but I can't give it to the Rook until I see him actually do it on the field. All right, but I do think he's going to be phenomenal. But O line, where you at? You got the Eagles?
Yeah. I got the Eagles. For me, it's pretty
No
clear.
way.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, no, it
No
was my
way.
shocked face that
Um,
you took the Eagles.
for me, it's pretty clear that what we're actually seeing here with Eagles being one and Kansas City being three is it proves to you that the O line and the quarterback are the most valuable positions in the league, right? That's why a team like the Browns struggled last year is because they only had one of them, right? You can't have a great quarterback with no offensive line and be great, and you can't have a great offensive line with no quarterback and be great. So for me, you got to have both. Philly going to the Super Bowl with one of the top running attacks we've seen. And they're also one of the most versatile lines we've seen too, where I think it was like the fourth time or third time in NFL history where a team went back-to-back weeks having over 350 run yards followed by 350 pass yards or something like that, or may have been vice versa. Just shows off their versatility, right? They ran the air out of the ball against Green Bay last year, and then they proceeded to just throw dimes everywhere against Tennessee the following week. So they're great at both. Everyone on that line last year has returned, other than our right guard Isaac Sayamalu, who's being replaced with a second
Cam
round pick.
Jurgens.
Cam Jurgens, great guy. And everyone on the line last year was either a Pro Bowler or a second or the alternate for the Pro Bowl. So
Yeah,
we didn't lose anywhere. We got younger. Their only weakness was flags last year. They had 37 penalties. But other than that, I mean, they're stellar.
no, I agree. I don't think I can argue Philadelphia being number one. I was a little shocked that San Francisco ended up down as far as they did because I like their line a lot. But like Denver's line currently is ranked higher than San Francisco's line.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you where they're ranked. Hold on, because when I sit back, I'm like, man, great offensive lines. I think of them, and maybe their line's not as good as I think they are, and they're just really propped up by the fact that they have the best left tackle and Kyle Shanahan just does enough stuff to make it work. But I'm currently still scrolling. There they are. Currently ranked 18th on PFF is the San
Yeah.
Francisco 49ers. So Yeah, I mean, look, last year we had debates, and it was like I was like, when the Niners and Eagles played, I said the Niners had the best line. You said the Eagles do, and shockingly, like 18th, right? I don't even know how far they had them dropped off, down 11 spots. So I mean, I guess they were still ranked seventh, which is good, but I mean, yeah, it definitely dropped off. And all they got was the only difference is they have a new right tackle. So I don't know. Yeah, I think the Eagles are definitely one. Here's my question for our guy: who do you think PFF has ranked? And maybe you already looked at it, so you know. But who does PFF have ranked of the five starters? Mailata, Dickerson, Kelsey, Jurgens, and Lane Johnson. Who do they have ranked as the number one player on that offensive line? Because if you look at the line, they'll tell you here's the line. Like with the Chiefs, they're like, here's the line.
82, 83, 91, 40. I would guess.
I wasn't even looking at numbers. They give you the line. If you look at them, PFF, you say PFF, who's the best line? They'll break down. Here's the best line. Here's the starters. They tell you this guy's new, this guy's not new, compared to last year. And then they'll say, here's some stats, and they go, who's the best player on the line? This player, like with the Chiefs, right? Creed Humphrey is listed as the best player on that line. Who do you think they put for the Eagles? Since you're an Eagles fan, I'm going to ask you.
It should be Lane Johnson.
It is Lane Johnson.
Okay.
I thought maybe you'd say Kelsey, which is why I threw that out there. But yeah, Lane Johnson is listed as their number one. So yeah, Lane Johnson.
Yeah, I mean, the man just doesn't give up pressures in the NFL. I think he's probably gone 2 years now, I think, in a row almost without giving up a sack or something like that. I mean, Lane Johnson, he's just an absolute freak. I'm glad that early in his career he had issues with the juice. He kept getting caught for steroids, but since he's gotten clean off of that, it was like there was a clear line of demarcation for the Eagles in his early years of when he played versus when he didn't play. And yeah, he does not give up pressures, doesn't give up sacks. The man's a monster.
Yeah, the Eagles are good. All right, so that's how we're going to break it down. Little disagreements here and there. I mean, look, we pretty much agree at quarterback. Running back, not a lot of disagreements, really a philosophy thing. Tight end, we're in agreement. O-line, we're in agreement. Obviously, the wide receiver, which is the reason I decided we should have these debates to begin with. That was a big one we had the debate on. So,
and what's crazy is we don't even really disagree too far. It's literally just 1 and 2.
Yeah. I mean, look, when you're the best, you're the best. I mean, you're really nitpicking a lot of times with some of those. So, I mean, and a lot of times we're like, even when I don't agree with you on certain things, like I guess to a certain extent, I can understand why you think the way that you do, right? Like, and I understand that, you, right? Like, we've known each other for long enough, like you and injuries, and plays a much bigger part in your evaluation of players than maybe it does necessarily my evaluation of a player, right? It was the same with Christian McCaffrey years ago, where I was like, look, the guy is phenomenal when he's on the field, and I'm going to bet that he plays on the field more than he's off the field, right? It's the same thing we're seeing this year with, with certain other things. So, yeah, I mean, we're picking at hairs a lot of times with the guys that are the best. So, all right, guys, as always, we're going to wrap up the show with another test Mike's brain. So last week, Mike suffered his first defeat. There was a lot of debate as to whether or not my guy's relevantly well-known starter in the league versus he's been a backup most of his life. And I said, we should have been well enough known for you to get in, blah, blah, blah. And of course, the Texans have to come out and threaten to cut the guy. So we'll see. Mike wants an asterisk next to his loss.
It's an asterisk.
I don't know if I'm ready to give it to him yet or not, but we'll see how it goes. Maybe I'll feel nice one of these days and give it to him. So, but for now, 2-1. Mike, what color we want this suit?
What's the only color I haven't done yet?
The only color you haven't done is blue.
All right, let's do blue then.
All right. So with the blue one, all right, I'm going to give you the offensive starters, what college they played for. All right.
Okay.
It's obviously some college players, they play for multiple. I'm going to give you where they were kind of coming in versus not. So like a Jalen Hurts played at Alabama, played at Oklahoma. For him, I would say Oklahoma. All right. Just kind of see how I'm going to put it together, even though he played also where they kind of came from. Again, kind of like with the other ones, I tried to pick some that weren't like the most obscure random thing in the world because I want you to be able to, pick some of it out a little bit better.
These are current teams, correct?
Current team. The lineup is based off of the current team, their current roster. If in the case where there were a lot of splits, like with running backs, we obviously split backfields, I took the one that was currently listed as the RB1, and that's how I put this together. All right, so that way you can kind of see it. So, here we go. So this team, their wide receiver 1 went to West Alabama.
Ooh, okay.
I know I'm going to go through that whole explanation and give you West Alabama to start it out.
Got a
Tight
feeling,
end.
I got a feeling that this is Miami. Let's keep going.
Tight end went to Penn State. The wide receiver 2 went to Alabama.
This is Miami. We're done. This is
The
Miami.
quarterback
Final
went,
answer. The
went to
answer is
Alabama.
Miami Dolphins.
And the running back went to Purdue. It is the Miami Dolphins. The fact that I didn't even get past West Alabama and you already knew who it was, I guess I do need to make it a little bit more complicated in there. So, I mean, I figured Alabama and Alabama would seal it for you, and it probably did. But I thought the West Alabama might throw you through a loop. But
no, so here's the thing: is it's kind of interesting. You almost need to go with players that went to big schools to throw you, because West Alabama. How many players ever in the NFL have gone to West Alabama, right? Like
probably one.
Right. Like, same thing with the, in the Steelers a couple of years ago. If you have Miami of Ohio, and then where did AB go to college? Central Michigan. If I'm seeing Central Michigan and Miami of Ohio, I know who that is. But if I'm seeing Alabama, Georgia, University of Florida, that could be anybody. I have no idea. That could be 15 different people in the NFL. So
yeah,
it's almost like the more obscure you go, the easier it gets.
Yeah, I mean, the saving grace I thought with this one, right? Like, obviously you get that one, but like a tight end and running back, we're gonna do anything because they're both really nobodies, But
I don't even know who Miami's tight end is at the moment. No, I'm thinking about it.
But the backup, I don't even have the name. I just wrote tight end when I put this blue one
because Mike Gesicki's gone, so that might have been. So that could have been Gesicki from last year, but yeah.
I figured, but how many teams have Alabama and Alabama on them? I thought that would be the ceiling. But
yeah.
All right, so 3-1. Mike's record on test Mike's brain. I know that colleges aren't necessarily your forte,
nope.
As much as the stat numbers are. So, but if I only did stats every time, then we'd never beat you. So, and he still got by that one. So, all right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us today. Great show. Join us next week. We're going to be talking the defensive side of the top players in the PFF. Breaking it down a little bit more. We're going to go safety, cornerback, middle linebacker, interior defensive player, and then edge rushers. And we'll see how PFF grades it and how we kind of see that breaking down. We'll see if we have debates like we did this week with that one. So we'll see you all then.